Okay, welcome to part two of our Crystal Workshop series. Um, Today we're going to go over carved shapes. And what do I mean by that? I mean like tumbled stones, heart-shaped stones, palm stones, like those things and what they mean, even like freeform. I have a list, so we'll just get in on it because I'd like to get this started because there's a lot of material. Okay, so first on my list I have is tumbled stones because I feel like the majority of people who just get into crystals, like their first couple stones is a tumbled stone, right? So here I've got some here. So these are tumbled stones. They're usually about this size. Because if you get any bigger, then you move into palm stone area and gallet area. Those are like larger. So palm stones are, tumbled stones are typically generally around this size. Now, what's great with tumbled stones is you can tell by looking at them, like this one kind of has like really sharp edges. This one is more round. This guy is interesting. He looks more like a turtle shell. So your tumbled stones vary in the energy that they emit, meaning it varies like based off of its tumbledness. So like this guy has got those sharp edges, you're gonna have more of a sharp, strong energy coming off of it. You have a more rounded, is going to be more of like a equally emitting energy. But what is the theme with all tumbled stones, however, is that they increasingly fill up the space that they are in with their energy. That makes them great to carry in your purse, in your pocket, in your bra, like whatever way to carry them about, carry them with you. These are the puppies to stick in a little pouch and put in your bag. Um, they like I said, they just keep emitting their energy until they literally fill the space. So let's say you keep bringing your tumbled stones to your job every day, you bring them back to your job, like that space is going to eventually have an imprint of the energy of those stones left on it, and you will actually start to feel the more that, like, if you're just operating in that space with your stones, you will actually start to feel that difference when you go from your house into your work. You'll actually feel the energy of these stones before you even take them out and lay them out or whatever. Um, so tumbles are great for carrying and traveling. Okay. Next, we have free forms. Now, the difference between a free form and a tumble is they're generally a little bigger, and they typically, what it means is when a carver is carving the stone, they go by the shape of the stone already, which is very much similar to tumbled stones because they're just in a rotating tumbler like this, and it mimics the ocean almost, or like moving water. It mimics that way of carving. So free form is very much the same, but a carver is doing this by hand, and they were going by the shape of the stone, how it already came out of the ground, how they want to shape it is just how it already is, but you're taking off the rough edges. Now, there's really not a huge difference between them and like tumbleds and palm stones and things like that, except for the fact that they differ. They're very similar to rough stones. They carry the energy of that raw energy from a rough stone a little bit better than being carved into any other type of shape, because then it takes on an entirely new energy admittance. Yeah, I think that's the word. So here's an example. So this is Eudolite, and you can kind of see that in its rough form it still really has these like sharper kind of square edges. Like you can see it's kind of like almost like granite in a way, and then it has these pink and ruby looking in spots as well. But it feels like that. And then this is a side of it that I've sliced with a tile saw. See, I went with the grain of the stone, and I just kind of like cut with it because it's like already kind of um, rectangular. So when it got free formed, it still kind of held on to those sharper rectangular kind of edges. Rough stones, personally, I love to work with when I'm doing things like in the shower Rough stones tend to have like a really raw, powerful energy, and they help you introspect a little bit further because you see the stone how it is and its rough's way, and then you can literally get it wet, and then you kind of are seeing like it's enhanced imagery. So then you can delve deeper into the world of the crystal, because a lot of crystals like agates, combination stones like this, they have like a depth to them of different worlds, of different knowledge, of different perspective that you can learn by looking through the layers. So that's why I really like rough stones. Really challenges you to think in multiple perspectives. All right. Here's another example of a free-form moonstone. Moonstone is also another stone that forms in layer-like. So it creates these more rectangular and square shapes naturally. And then when it's free-form carved, it just kind of smooths out the edges, but kind of keeps that rectangular vibe. Okay. All right, on to palm stones. So I got a couple different palm stones here. Here is a flower agate palm stone. Palm stones are great for literally your palm, and you can use them in meditation. You can use them for grounding because you're feeling this weight and you're holding your hands like this, and then like laying them on your lap is especially great. So you feel that weight and that physical connection to earth, because we are earth, we are the universe, but like sometimes we forget, so we need like a little bit of this reminder, this like this sinking reminder that we are like this oneness, like you're becoming it, you're like feeling this weight, and you absorb that energy that way. So palm stones are great for that, great for strengthening your connection. They're great for grounding, anxiety, like ooh, hang out with palm stones at the beginning of your day, have a little mindful reflection, do a little breath work, and you'll be really surprised. And also in a pinch, like if you're having an anxiety attack, you can sit with even just your one palm stone in two hands like this and just keep feeling that weight, that connection that you have to earth. So palm stones can be something like large like this, but they can also look like this because this is a fire quartz. You see like it's little swooshies inside. It's red swooshies. That's hematite mixed in with the quartz. Um, Very good personal power stone, lights your fire. Okay, anyway, going on. So your palm stones can also look like this. I personally love the tiny puppies because I've got literally small hands. And when I put two of equal weight like this guy in both my hands, I'm just like, zone, like I'm just like, woo, like I feel that connection immediately. And I feel that grounding, that like, it's almost like emotionally, I would say it's like a humbling experience, like you just like everything kind of just sheds and melts away, other than the two things that are like right here in your hands. Like this is now the most important thing, which it is when you're trying to meditate or you're trying to do any kind of introspection work or healing and things like that. You do want to be really focused and drawn in this moment. So palm stones are really good to help with that. Let's see. I also consider these heart-shaped ones to be palm stones as well, because they can sit in your palm much like the palm stones. But what makes them slightly different than palm stones is the fact that they're shaped in a heart. And the story behind that is actually super cute. So originally, the idea behind these hand carved shapes like this is that like whoever is carving the heart in that moment, they are endowing this heart shape with their heart chakra energy, because they're connecting, because you're working with it, you're connecting that physical with the unseen energy, and then manifesting this shape of a heart. And it's just all love, compassion, nurture, hugs, like unconditional love, like self-acceptance, acceptance of others, compassion, like all of that. And it's like the carver's energy of that, of all of what I just said, injected into this heart shape. So any heartstone carvings, that's the story behind them. Let's see. Next is our crystal skulls. Oh my goodness, I love my skulls. So I used to be all like, I don't know how I feel about these. They look kind of scary, but no, they're not. Working with them is like they're such a fun energy. They're wise, they're ancient. Like they'll call you out on stuff even, and I think that that's hilarious and super cool. But skulls already are a being of themselves. They have a face, like this, and it's a direct representational face of like a human face. So it's like someone we can learn from and kind of relate to more so than just like a stone, give it a face and like, oh, we can connect. Also, though, the crystal carved shape of a skull representational goes back to the ancient Aztecs and Mayans, where they considered these skulls to be representational of transition, of death, yes, but not of how we would think of it, like Halloween and like whatever. No, like death as in transformation, transmutation, changing from one thing to another, journeying, wisdom, because you will gain wisdom when you shift to that second plane. Once we pass, there's a whole nother plane of existence to kind of like be involved in and like gain wisdom from. I have this personal theory that like on the day that you are going to pass, you almost then understand like what is coming next, and that's when you like slip into this acceptance. And like, so I kind of consider skulls to be kind of comforting in that way. Like they're like a little friend for your transitional times, but also beings, especially crystal quartz skulls. I left mine downstairs. I thought about it bringing it up, and then I was like, oh, should have. But crystal quartz skulls, especially, they have a being inside of them already, and you have to connect with that being. Be like, I call it like just hanging out with them, and I talk to it, and I'm like, so what's going on, bro? What do you have to tell me? What do you have to show me? And as I'm saying that, I'm looking at it. And for one of my crystal skulls in particular, my crystal quartz ones, I was looking at it and asking it these questions, and a rainbow flashed in the inside. And I was like, oh my gosh, because rainbows are representational of prosperity and abundance and joy and happiness and just like all of the colors of the rainbow. So in turn, all of the frequencies and all of the universe. So then I realized that that skull had something to teach me about abundance, prosperity, and realizing that I am joyful, even though I'm not. Let's say I'm trying to go to a next goal, or I'm struggling with something mentally. I still am abundant. I still am a creature of attraction. I attract what I deserve. I just attract, So that was great that that skull had that to teach me. And now I kind of consider that skull like a joyful stone, like a joyful skull to teach me about joy and to teach me about living in the moment and enjoying the time that I have here on this planet before I transition. So you take all of those aspects, you take how it's carved, the type of stone, what you see in the stone, mixed with the knowledge and the history of the practice of carving these stones into these shapes, and you mash all that together, and then you look at your own personal life and you see where you can integrate that teaching into your life, where this is speaking to this moment or this particular aspect of your life. Okay, so skulls, I have, let's see, I'm going to jump to animals before we go to towers because we're on carved people things. Okay, so carved animals, mushrooms, nature, things like that. Now, when it comes to something like this, see this bison? This is where you start wrapping in your knowledge about animal spirits, nature spirits, like more natural connection things. So you're looking at this bison, and I would like you, if you have a carved shape at home, a carved animal, to Google or get in a signs and symbols book, which I have, and it's really awesome. I recommend. But or even just Google like spiritual properties or meaning behind the bison or the cat or a spider, like whatever it is that you feel drawn to this animal, because this animal can represent a lot more. Like the animal itself has a representational value, a bison being abundant, endurance, community, Yeah. So, and oh, and resourcefulness. So this bison, just his shape is speaking to me on all those levels. But then on top of it, you have the coloration of the stone, the type of stone, which is soapstone, which is like a really soft stone. So it's also teaching me to be soft. That softest is tough, things like that. He's really cute, isn't he? And then like they add these little eyes sometimes. So here's a shape, an animal one that I actually carved. So it doesn't have those little eyes. It's supposed to be a cat, but his poor little tail broke off. So this is jade, and jade is a very heart chakra stone. Cats speak to me to my heart chakra at all times. Like freaking love cats. Um, so I carved him out of jade, and it was like that representational thing of keeping my heart chakra open. And how do I personally do that is by connecting with animals. That helps me remain in my softness, and it helps me remain in my compassionate side. So hence my jade cat. Then you have mushrooms. Mushrooms just bring you outside. They bring you also to think about things like what mushrooms do. They interconnect all of the trees in the forest. They are the underground communication system that helps trees communicate to each other. Blows my mind. Mushrooms also hold the information, let's say from a dying tree, and the tree now sends these signals down and communicates through the underground mycelium to the other tree and says like, hey bro, we got this disease like from this bug, so like produce this type of toxin so that when the bug tries to take over you in your tree self, they will die because you will have evolved based off of communication, which says a lot about us and our throat chakras, and how that is the only way for us to evolve is to communicate when bad things happen. Communicate when all things happen, but like especially the things that we especially don't want to talk about is like what we need to talk about, because you could save your fellow tree buddy in a way, but like your fellow human person. Yeah. So mushrooms. I also have angels here. So angels are really cool. That helps me personally really kind of keep in connection with, that unseen energy, that comforting feeling of like you're never alone because you are a part of the universe. The universe has got your back, things like that, like your spirit guides, your angel numbers, things like that. I personally really dig having an angel since it's reminding me of this higher vibrational things, these spiritual things, but with this hematite because it's grounding that spiritual energy into my physical plane. So that's just like a personal thing. But yes, angels connecting you to your higher spiritual realms and your guidance, your spirit teams, whatever you'd like to call that. All right, moving on. Towers and obelisks. So, towers, this is a tower. It will have, let's see if this is better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sides all here, 6 sides conjoining to this point. Anytime you see a point like that, that is representational of focused energy. But then on top of it, when you see 6 sides and then this one conjoining point, this is also representational of your chakras. You have the 6 chakras starting from your root to your third eye. And then when they all come together, when you align all your chakras, when you do all that inner work, they align to this conjoining point, which is now your crown chakra, which is your expanded consciousness. So if you work on all of these chakras and you get them to all cooperate with each other in this way, this free-flowing state where they're all equally working with each other, you will attain this open crown chakra, this expanded consciousness. Super cool. All right. Now, obelisks, on the other hand, have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So they are more like an elongated pyramid. Now, you see these in ancient Egyptian times and just in Egypt in general, they still stand. Many rulers, ancient rulers in Egypt would build these obelisks because of like the centralized focused energy of the pyramid, which they understood. That's why they used those for their burial and whatnot. But these were usually erected when they were still alive to celebrate them and to also put these rulers at a closer spot to the heavens to be able to connect their power of being like, because in ancient Egyptian times, they considered themselves like that is God, is their ruler. So it's like a way to connect that spiritual and physical plane together and like kind of project your energy and mingle and integrate it with the incoming energy that'll come to the tip from the spiritual world or the heavens. But yeah, the bigger the obelisk, the more royal, the more powerful that ruler was said to be. And then a lot of times they'd have inscribed on these obelisks like a story of their rule, like things that they've done. So obelisks are very personal empowerment stones, connecting with your higher self, with your intuition and your guidance, inner guidance, but also remembering that spiritual connection that you have with the unseen and how powerful you truly are. Kidoki. All right, cubes. Cubes are excellent grounding tools. That's why I have mine in hematite. Once again, love my hematite because we got a lot of spiritual energy. Even if you don't think you do, you do. And we need to ground that stuff all the time into our physical plane. So consolidated energy is a cube. You could just kind of tell, like just thinking of something in a box or in a cube. It's consolidated. It's like internal. It's strengthened. It's in there. So on top of that, if you have this cube as like a hematite, either way though, any kind of stone will still produce this weight, but the hematite is extra heavy. So like this is by far my favorite way to ground, is having this hematite cube on me. I think I have something written down here about cubes too. Cubes, right. Okay, so here's another thing. Not only do they represent consolidated energy, but this is why. Because cubes, when it comes to the basic shapes of sacred geometry, represent earth and stability. See how that works? And that all ties into your grounding and your consolidated energy of your cube. And then on top of it with the hematite. All right. So we're at cubes. So speaking of cubes and having this representational connection to sacred geometry, this might have to be a full other workshop where we dive into the molecular structure of crystals. But let's just stay with the sacred geometry right now and we'll move on, finish this. We'll do something else later. But here, so I have this guy, which is I want to say, I had to write this down, the icosahedron. Excuse my pronunciation. And then you have your dodecahedron. Yes, right. So these are sacred geometry principles. These are the shapes of internal molecules. These are larvikite, but also, for instance, pyrite grows in a molecular cubic formation. That's why you can find naturally occurring pyrite cubes that have grown naturally. So when you see stones carved into these specific geometric shapes, they are to embody the energy of the icosahedron and the dodecahedron. And the dodecahedron is spirit, ether, the universe, the divine nature. And then you have the other one, fire, creation, destruction, renewal. Oh no, that's another one. I'm sorry, water, expansion, flow. But these are the platonic solids. These are your platonic solids in sacred geometry. So these are the building blocks of the universe. So when you have carved shapes of the building blocks of the universe, kind of reminds you of just that whole entire principle. It's just like, wow, this is the universe. It's like these shapes just boop, 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 building on each other and creating all these like things we can actually see, these molecular structures. That's pretty cool. All righty. Oh, cool. I can kind of, so we can go spheres. So not only do spheres emit their energy equally, obviously, because he's a sphere, but not only that, but they fill a space like your tumbled stones, but like way stronger because they're focused equal emitting energy, like it's its purpose. So it's like, I'm here to do the job, and it'll fill up your space with this energy, and it's freaking excellent, and you can feel it like right away. Also, use your spheres as palm stones to get that grounding, connecting feeling because of their weight and their beauty and all that. On top of it, spheres are not like they all encompassing. Think about it like a circle, a sphere, earth, all encompassing, so that helps you with healing, especially realizing that you are all encompassing, that you and your personal world, your personal view on the world is all encompassing. It is your perspective, but you see it from all angles. When I first started healing, I started feeling like my sphere was like me healing my trauma. It's like I'm traveling around this sphere, but I'll get around one whole rotation, go a different way, yet still come back to the same spot. And that was really speaking to me and how one certain traumatic experience can affect so many different ways of how you travel upon this earth in your physical plane. And it started to make me realize that no matter where I run or where I go, that trauma is still going to be there, and I will still keep circling back to it. So then once I had that realization, I dove inward, and I felt as if I now had become the center of the sphere, seeing out, and I can now see from all of these perspectives, all of the sides of the sphere that are teaching me something, with its shapes, with its colors, with even this little like face looking guy on there, and then the type of stone it is combined with that knowledge helps. So this is a polychrome jasper, and polychrome teaches you about your uniqueness and standing in your own truth and your own authenticity. So was a great example to use, actually. All right, spheres. Okay, so pyramids. Excuse my poorly carved pyramid. This was the first time I carved a pyramid, and I broke his tip. I felt really sad. But pyramids. So you have once again the four sides that'll link you back to even your creation, rebirth, out of body journeying with your pyramids. Because then you think of ancient Egyptian times, and what did they do? They had the mummies at the bottom, and then they supposedly, their souls went to the heavens up the top. So out of body experience. Nice. Cool. Pyramids also have real focused energy. So especially like we talked in one of our workshops before about the orgone pyramids. So it's like you've got the chips, the stone chips that are being conducted by the copper wire and then fed into the crystal point, which would then amplify and also more focus that energy, because crystal points have that six-sided connection like this card tower. So focused energy. Let's see. All right. And so then we're going to move on to our eggs. Eggs. Eggs are really symbolic of, rebirth, renewal, things like that, but also feminine power. Because if you ever heard of a yoni egg, I'm not going to go too much into that because I think it's a little private, but you can look it up if you'd like. But it's feminine, it's got all its power down here, and like how we've got all our power in our sexual organs. We have the power to create, we have the power to birth a human soul from another portal dimension, like we are portals, women. So it's very representational of that. And then you've got the egg, rebirth, renewal, things like that. Plus another good one for meditating with, something about it is like calming in your hand because of that equal weight on the bottom. Okay. Oh, cool. Then you've got your wands. I should have brought up a couple different wands to show you because this one is a very particular wand because it's got a fat base with its own point, with a thinner base with its own point. So it is technically a double terminated quartz point, but this is man-made, it's carved. This is the I hope I don't get this confused, but I want to say that's the masculine. Now, one of these is I want to say this is the feminine end and this is the masculine end, or this is the masculine end. And intuition is telling me this is the masculine end and this is the feminine end. But we can dive into that later. But the purpose of this is to have the energy come in through this receiving end and then get focused and funneled down to this thinner tapered end for a more focus, like for an extremely focused energy. And then you have all your correlating sides coming to this point and now this point has way more than 6, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this way more focus. It's usually, this is utilizing the quartz crystal for its and like its powerful purposes, like how you have quartzes in a watch or in your microwave, but they have to be carved into a certain way so that when the energy goes through, it is amplified and spread, and it causes whatever it is to work. So that's the goal behind these wands. So these wands are great for focused, intentional work. So like if I have a migraine, I would be like, oh, or like a headache. Because I don't think I've ever had a migraine, but so I don't want to use that. But headache, I've had like tension headaches. And if you sit with this crystal and you really envision and utilize its power for this whole practice, the whole process, you have to get all of you on board with this visualization of the fact that this is taking outside energy and you're focusing it towards this, where this headache is, and you literally pull out this headache and then you flick it away. So this is great to use in energy work in that way. You can cut cords very well with this. You can do, they call it psychic surgery when you like use things of this nature to like have a different intentional effect with it, like pulling out the headache. Great focus energy. Other wands, there's wands that are just kind of like round and like rounded bottoms. They're actually good massage tools. And then when you're using them as massage tools, you're also incorporating the crystal's energy like into this person's skin, into their molecular makeup. And as you're rubbing their muscles, you're like reconfiguring them, and then you're injecting them with this energy. Then you have other wands that this can technically be a wand. It's a tower, but because it has those focused points that come to the 6 sides that come to that centralized point, you can use this as a wand. Or this one, the tower. You can use towers as wands, the flat-based ones. Now you would use something like this. It doesn't have an in and out. It's just focus energy from your intention to the tip. So when you're, let's say, connecting a crystal grid, you can create a crystal grid and then you connect all the crystals in the grid and you say, this grid is now activated. This energy of this grid is all connected now. It is working. It is activated. It's ready to go. You can also use wands to draw imaginary lines, like an energy line, let's say across your front door. Don't actually, oh my gosh, please don't put the tip like on the concrete and do it like that. Like hurts my heart, like my whole heart to see that. But just like an imaginary line, you draw that and you're like, this house is now protected because you're using your power, your personal empowerment power to set this boundary. And then you're utilizing the crystal tool to amplify and focus that power. Okay. All right, we're whipping through. Good, we're right on time. Our last one that I'd like to cover for today, and I'm sure there are a lot more, but these are like your general forms that you're going to see a lot more of. So here's the last one I wanted to go over. It's called a top polished point. So you've got your rough stone. This is pyrite. So this is the rough rock of pyrite. And then just the tip is polished. I I kind of personally love these because it really combines the like, look, you can see the beauty of the natural pyrite with its little cubic crystals down here. And it's just like beautiful to see that. But then you have the polish, so you get best of both worlds and you see that shine and that fool's gold look, you know? And I love that combination. So, because then you get to see what he looks like in his natural form and his natural beauty. And then, when with a little bit of work, a little bit of self work, little self growth, has this beautiful shining point. They are also, though, focused energy. Once again, you've got focused energy. So, you're focusing the energy of the pyrite. So these are great actually to keep like in your manifestation corner of your house, or like I've got a little manifestation corner where I have this guy like sitting on top of a little stack of bills, and then I have like a citrine around it and like a couple other manifestation type crystals. But right, so this is his focused pyrite energy. So this is pyrite is wealth, abundance, you know, prosperity, good for business, things like that. So I love the best of both worlds. And then, like, on a healing sense, like seeing that, like I was saying earlier, seeing how he looks in his rough form and like how we see ourselves in our rough and raw form. But then, like, if we just do a little bit, you know, we can, if we just focus our intentions and focus ourselves, we can become like, we can shine. Because natural and polish are both beautiful. That's another thing. And that really helps teach you that you are just as beautiful in your rough and raw form as you are in your polished form. All right, on that note, thank you. Thank you for joining. And feel free, if you'd like, to sign up to come to the next live. We have another one coming up. I will add the information in comments. I'm new to this. I will add the information. You will know the information. But yes, thank you for watching. Right, if you want to comment and add like your information or anything, you want me to put you down on the list so you make sure you get notified about the next one of these so you can be involved and interact with us on the Zoom. Yeah, other than that, thanks again. I'm going to sign this off for the day, and we will continue. I want to say it's not next weekend, but the weekend after. We will have another one of these. Cool. Thanks again, guys, and have a great day.